this video I'm going to show the Max to Unity implementation and how to use the scripts to export things from 3ds Max to export objects from 3ds Max to Unity. So the scripts that are going to be used are found in the scripts that will come with this document. So this is the Fbx Exporter, which all these scripts needs to be placed inside 3ds Max script installation folder. So it's where you install Max, usually in C drive, Autodesk, 3ds Max, and scripts. And here you just copy the 3D Brothers folder, then drag and drop the Fbx Exporter, material rename. I'll show you in a second what material rename is used for. The Xref tools, you need to drag this tool panel. Then what I did is going into customize user interface, go into the menus, choose 3D Brothers, and I dragged in the Fbx Export geometry and material and tool panel with Xref tools. So I have them here. I also have the Fbx Export added as a toolbar. You can do the same. You can trigger those scripts with shortcuts or everything you want. Okay, so I have a scene named Cross Geometry, and I'll create this object, which is going to be one of our prefabs. I also have a short script here. Name the object. I'll include that as well into our little script folder. Xref tools. Name. Project. Okay. So the way we did it is that each prefab will have its own 3ds Max scene, so the object needs to have the same name as the scene, so that's what this script is going to take care of. And another thing that I have to do is to mark this object as a prefab. This is going to be used inside Unity to know to create a prefab for this object. It's adding an attribute to this object, which you see here, prefab reference and reference name. And right now I'm almost ready to send it to Max. I want to show you the setup file for knowing in which Unity repo to, which Unity folder to set, not a repo. So in V drive, where you have the vault for 3ds Max, I have config underline Unity repo, exactly like as it is written .txt, and you need to put the path to your Unity project. Alright, so before exporting, asset tracking, go into asset tracking, and you need to make sure your scene is added into Vault. Otherwise, it will throw you an error saying that you're working on a project that is not indexed in Vault. Alright, models, assets, model for prefabs. I'm going to create a folder in here. So everything needs to be, all the objects that are going to be prefabs needs to be imported into model for prefabs, because it's set inside Unity in preferences, in max config, and you have this folder set up. You should not mess with this, but I just want to show that it's there. Doc. Cross geometry. I save it. And what it's doing inside Unity, if you have any folder named textures into the folder where you have the scene, all the scenes, you see this folder textures in here. It will copy all the textures and will create you a material folder as well if you have any materials assigned to the object. So you see the textures in here, and I'm going to actually delete it and assign a material because I want to have a material here as well. So this, usually your material will be named some not 01, and what I used to do is to name the material with the same name as the object. It will be easier to find into Unity and keep things organized. I save the scene, check it in, and I export it again. Alright, and now I should create a material as well. I will show you the settings you need to set into your project in order to get a material named the same as the object. Actually, the same as the material we have into the scene, but because it's set into max to be the same as the object, it has the same name. These settings are set by our importer automatically, so it's going to take the material naming from models material, and it will go recursively up. And I also made a quick script which is going to assign the textures to the material. It will look into the same folder as the material, and if there's a texture folder, it will assign those textures to the material by those suffixes. So here, assign texture, this one can be found inside MISC assign textures. I will include the script as well, as it's not in the repo right now. So when you click assign textures, it will look into that and assign them. If you save, it will ask you to fix this normal map. So if you assign multiple textures, you can fix them by saving the scene and not going one by one. Right, so we have the box with this thing on. And another thing that you need to do is to manually import the prefab. Let's see where this one can be found. Yeah, manual modder importer inside MISC as well. Is the same or not? It's yeah, the window is named differently. And when you click manual import, it will go into prefabs here, and it will create a Unity doc and create a prefab with our object. If that looks properly, you know that your prefab has been created and you can move on. Another quick thing that I want to show you how the process of updating the mesh is going to be. So let's say create editable poly, and you do some changes to your mesh. Let's extrude it. Alright, and when you click Fbx Export, it will look into your Unity project. That's why it's important to set the path into your vault, into your vault drive, I will say, so it knows where to look for the same object. Exporting to update, and now your geometry should be updated as well into the prefab. Okay, I have a bit of stretching, but it's the same process. You can apply a UV map modifier, unwrap it properly, and then use the Fbx Exporter. Now let's do an assembly. Yeah, save them. Open files. So assembly wall with hole. Alright, so let's do this thing. This is from previous test that I done. To reference something, you go into reference and Xref objects, and you get the cross geometry. Use scene material. So right now we have these Xref files. Duplicate. We need to group them. Open group. Name object. It will name the group as the scene as well. Group. Select the group. I'm going to save the scene. Inside the Xref tool panel, you have this button, Xref Pack. Make sure your scene is saved before you do that, because it will replace all the Xref files with a null, like this. And right now you're ready to Fbx export it. Send the assembly into Unity. One thing that's important to keep in mind, if you have this textures folder in here and you have multiple scenes, it will copy all those textures over again, so that's why it's important. That's in my dev setup, but in the actual scenes you can see we have a folder for each scene. So it's armory room, objects, rifle. We have the rifle and the textures, and this way you are not going to copy the same texture all over again. Okay, so let's see the assembly. Cannot see anything because those are nulls, and but when you go to manual prefab importer and you import, okay, into Unity doc we should have those objects assembled now. So you see Unity replace all these objects. Actual the scripts for assembly that we've done in Unity replaces all the objects with the prefab. And if you are going to change anything into so if you change something into the assembly scene, Fbx Exported. I actually implemented this into I implemented the Xref pack into the Fbx Exporter, so it will know when you have a group of objects that it should be packed before exporting, and it will keep your scene much cleaner. It was a while since I used it, so I actually forgot that I implemented that. You see that you should have Unity collapse, I think. Let's check. Select the group, Fbx Export. Okay, so yeah, that's the process of getting things into Unity from Max, and I'll do another tutorial showing how to update things from Unity to Max. So yeah, this was the process of sending prefabs and assembly files from Max to Unity.